Elliot once again, and welcome back to the continuation of our mock exam paper 1 revision. In this session, we're going to be discussing required B, which asks you to discuss with reference to offer 2 the approach you would take to allocate the purchase price of shares between Class A and Class B shares. No calculations required. So this requirement is a very interesting question, which we would say is outside the scope of what normally, the type of question that you are normally used to. Because if you look at this question, it specifically said no calculations required. So if you go back to your script, and if you find that you calculated anything, automatically you are now off script, because the required said specifically no calculations. So let's define the problem first, because from experience we know that the biggest challenge that would or may occur on this question is failing to address the problem. What is the problem? So the problem, if you look at the offer 2 made by First Venture Capital Fund once. So they said, effectively say, guys, 21st shareholders, in future, we are open to be able to buy 21st as a business. That's what we want. So when we buy the business, First Venture Capital Fund is going to say, let's say we are going to pay you 25 million. That is the offer. Now, from a 21st perspective, when I look at 21st, their dilemma now is, if you remember from the scenario, they've got 2 classes of shareholdings, being Class A and Class B. So the question or the problem to be solved here is, how do I allocate the 25 million between Class A shareholders and Class B shareholders? So how much of the 25 million should Class A shareholders get? How much of the 25 million should Class B shareholders get? So effectively in this question, we didn't expect you to talk about valuing 21st as a business. That was not required. The required simply said, yes, after obviously First Venture Capital Fund, they've done their valuation, etc., and they said, I think for the 21st, we can pay 25 million. Now coming to 21st, how do we allocate this shareholding between A and B shareholders? Which is exactly why the required specifically said no calculations. So what was our expectation? Our expectation was, in discussing the allocation basis, some of the conditions would be, I needed to know first of all, is there any value attached to Class A shareholders? To the extent that therefore they should share in the 25 million. So each Class A shareholder has got 1 vote per share plus rights to dividends. Then when I look at Class B shareholders, they've got 10 votes per share. So this is what I'm discussing. So the fact that Class A shareholders have got a right to 1 vote per share plus dividend, it means there must be some form of value that should be attached to Class A shares. Then Class B shares also, they should have a value because each share has got a 10 voting rights per share. So because of this, possibly there's some form of control that Class B shares can exercise. So in doing the allocation here, we didn't expect it to come, there was no one size fits all answer. We then expected to simply say, in then doing the allocations, we then need to take into account the allocation, the value attached to each share to be able to allocate the 25 million. Then another consideration in terms of coming up with the value to be allocated to each share, if you go to offer 1 made by First Venture Capital Fund, there's a sort of valuation that they've indicated that has been done in Class B shares, whereby they are saying 50% of the loan, which is 750,000. We can get this in lieu of 3,000 Class B shares. So as a student, you could then also have said, Class B shares, I can come up with a value per each Class B shares with reference to the offer 1 made by Fixed Venture Capital Fund. Then I value the entire Class B shares and less it from the offer made by Fixed Venture Capital Fund. Then the remaining is what I would allocate to Class A. So the idea here was for you to discuss a reasonable allocation basis. Common mistakes or pitfalls. a student trying to discuss how we needed to value 21st. That was not the problem. The problem was we've got a value for 21st as a business. That value, how do we allocate it to the equity shareholders, Class A and Class B shareholders? So I want to emphasize this problem definitely is something that maybe you not have ever seen in your previous studies or examinations. But the idea here is, how do you deal with a problem that you've never seen before? The first port of call is define the problem to be solved first. Once you've defined the problem to be solved, you would realize that more often than not, you may actually get clarity or ideas on how you may best solve the particular problem. And also in MAF, it's not about coming to a 100% accurate answer. At times you are being asked to come up with a reasonable discussion, and they are going to be evaluated on the reasonability and the logic behind your discussion. So I hope this discussion has clarified the expectations of required B. So at this stage, you then now need to compare to how you answered the question and reconciled your thought process versus the thought process I discussed in this video recording. Hopefully this has been helpful and will assist you going forward. Thank you.